All right, we're here for round one of our top eight Megadraft for LCI. We're having a nice little late night on the East Coast here. We got Joaquin, whose draft we just saw, with his Golgari deck, and he's up against Nick S, who we saw draft a white-black deck. What's his hand looking like over there, Mitch?
Bunch of white cards. We got a Glass Casket, Unruly Mob, Takrop Elite, which is a flyer, and another 4-drop flyer in Ultec, Cloud Guard, Defenestrate, and Swamp are also in the hand.
Yeah, so the two things we noticed when looking at Nick's deck after the draft was that he had a lot of flyers and he had a bunch of go wide stuff. So he did not have a third land in his starting hand, but he cycled the Unburden and found his third land. Also in hand, he has he's just removal. He has Bitter Triumph, he has Defenestrate, he has Rankle's Prank, he has Terror Tide, the rare that he started with, and he's got the Writhing Necromass, that the 7-drop 5/5.
I want to see Rankle Prank put in work in this draft. Let's see.
I mean, if Nick just plays another creature here, Joaquin can go ahead and get a 2-for-1. I mean, it's not the most impressive 2-for-1 I've ever seen. But if he plays you said he has a Cloud card here. That's
well, the Ultec, it's coming out down,
yeah,
so that's 2.
that sort of makes the Rankles Prank pull a prank on itself in a way.
Unruly Mob would go to a 3/3 if you keep that, but then you can keep the Cloud Guard anyway.
So I think he's thinking of just Bitter Triumphing here. Defenestrate does not kill the Cloud Guard. So Unruly Mob, I believe, reads whenever a creature you control dies, it just gets a +1 counter, right?
Would grow.
Yeah.
Well, you could kill it off and into Rankle's Prank and then get rid of 2 planes, because the Defenestrate, Takrop Elite, and 2 planes is the hand right now.
Okay, so he's going to kill that. Yeah, I'm not sure if Joaquin wants to discard 2 cards, though, to the Rankle's Prank.
Yeah. Depends what he's got. So, making this card wouldn't work too well, is what I'm saying.
Okay, so he's just going to play Aronis as Stalwart here and pass the turn. So not the happiest of circumstances here. The Terror Tide's still on a 0 here. So Defenestrate is going to be at its about absolute worst in this matchup, just because we saw Nick has a lot of high-quality flyers.
Well, Defenestrate on both sides, then. There's a Rite of Oblivion, which is a great card. You can get 2 things with the card that does flashback, non-land permanents.
Yeah, so you sacrifice something and you exile something, basically.
There's something I think is a permanent, maybe even lands.
You could hit a non-land. You could hit any non-land permanent with it. Not lands.
No, but the thing you have to psych is
I don't know if it's a creature or if it's any
I'll check
permanent.
it up. I will look it up.
I think it's a creature. All right, so he's just going to attack Crop Elite here and use the Exert to pump everything. So
it's non-land permanent, so basically it's going to be a creature in here.
I can see this draws out the Defenestrate here on the mob is getting a little too unruly here. You know, at first the mob was small, but it's gaining ground here. So he's going to throw the entire mob out the window.
Unruly.
Did you say you had to sack a creature? Was that it?
Has to be a non-land permanent, so the Glass Casket's probably not going to be.
Okay, sacrifice a non-land permanent, exile a non-land permanent. Okay.
Yeah.
He's got his Seething Tower here. It's 3 mana, 3/3. It's quite a long way from becoming a 5/5, unfortunately. But if Nick doesn't have a follow-up to crew the Cultic, the Caravan, well, everyone's getting thrown out the window.
Got now. Oh, it's a Rite of Oblivion and a Dream. Plains is the top deck.
Okay, so this is kind of working out after a bit of a rocky start here. He actually did draw a Stormkill Vanguard, which could get back his Spider. Additionally, he could also just cast his 5/5 Death Touch here. His Writhing Necromass is down to 5 mana now.
Well, if that comes out, Rite of Oblivion's going to meet it, but he has to choose whether to keep. Oh no,
Okay.
Stormkill's Vanguard is getting rid of that, of course.
Okay, he's just going to decide to kill the Caravan. Just it's a threat. So he says, "Let me kill the threat. I don't want to get hit for 5. I can get hit for 2. I don't mind."
Mean card here.
Okay.
Could turn the game in a number of turns.
Yeah, so here comes a 6/7. Looks like that might get exiled.
to choose whether to get rid of his creature or this monument.
Well, I think he can wait a turn and he can try and because any creature that he draws will make a little 1/1 that he could then sacrifice.
Is it white? It's just what that white spells cost less. Yeah, that I think waiting.
Your white creature. I think he's got come to the same conclusion that I'm at 20. I could take 6. Any creature I draw makes me a little 1/1.
Even Necropolis is sackable now to guarantee a non-land.
Yeah. So Oketra's Monument reads that all of your white creatures cost 1 less, but anytime you cast any creature, you get a 1/1.
Ooh, not a creature. Just stall for time.
Yeah,
exactly
not exactly what you do. What you want to get here. Just tap creatures and draw a card. Looks like he's just gonna. Where did it end up? Is it in his hand?
It's in his hand. I'm not sure if he undid what he was planning on doing at first. I think that might have been what happened.
Okay, because it's apart from his hand in the viewer here.
Really?
Yeah, like we see.
It's in his hand on my view.
Okay, so what's in Nick's hand here? It's not Swamp Shatter the Oath, right?
No, it's Plains of Rite of Oblivion and Stall for Time.
Yeah, it's this little weird arena bug that happens. But he's just gonna get him to 3 here, and then he kills him with the pressure.
That.
But
I think some sort of bug happened because he tried to cast it off the Discover and then decided against it, from what I could tell. And
yeah. So the arena has this weird thing sometimes where it shows you cards in your opponent's hand, even though they're not in their hand.
Rankel's Frank got it done, by the way, as I said.
Well, he got the first damage. Frank got it done. So maybe Nick is like slightly regretting not just exiling something with the Rite of Oblivion, but basically any creature that he found would get him a 1/1 to sack. So I understand it, but it just ended up that he played 2 gigantic creatures that just killed him in like 2 shots. Right? He hit him once for 6 to 14, hit him another time for 11 to 3, and then just killed him. Like he killed him in 2 shots. But he could not have foreseen that was going to be an extra damage on top of there.
Okay, Stall Time does not put a stun counter unless it's kicked, so it wasn't actually doing much of this job.
Yeah, if you don't kick that, it's pretty poor. It's just tap 2 creatures, draw a card. It's like a tempo card. If you can cast it for 5, you're actually getting, you're really getting somewhere because creatures stay up.
So what caused the bug was he was like, oh, cool, I discovered Stall for Time, let's cast it for free. But then he went, wait a sec, it's not something I want to cast for free. So he canceled that, and it caused the bug. Like, he kind of almost did it.
Weird. Though, of note, if you're discovering something with Kicker, if you have the mana to pay Kicker, you can pay Kicker.
Oh.
It's an additional cost. If a card has an alternate casting cost, you can't pay the alternate, but if it has an added cost, such as
like an X spell, you can't. To make it
or something just has like an alternate casting cost. Like I know it's not really on Arena, but like the overload mechanic, I know like that's just you're casting the spell for a different cost.
Nick's looking at the Valiant Veteran, the thing that's a lord for soldiers, I believe. Propeller Pioneer. Vampire Interloper, which might be, it can't block, but it's a 2/1 flyer. Yeah, can't block. Phyrexian Rager, your favorite, and Shatter the Oath, 5 mana sorcery removal.
It's not my favorite, but it's one of my preferred combinations of the. If you're gonna hit 2 out of 5 on the Cloud Blazer Index, 2/2 that draws a card is like the sweet spot. I think that's like the ideal 2.
Yes. There's a Shadow Prophecy also drawn now.
Yeah, so we got a nice little cheap hand here for Joaquin. A little less clunky than last game, even though he did end up winning. He's got the Deathcat Marionette. He's got a Bitter Triumph. He's got Back for Seconds, and he's got a Weaponcraft Enthusiast. So the Weaponcraft Enthusiast does pair nicely with Back for Seconds because it makes you little artifacts. Looks like he may just bite the bullet here and kill the Vampire Interloper. I think he's thinking of doing that and just playing his tap line that he drew, or that he has.
Can be annoying. That thing can hit you for 8 before you know it.
Looks like he's not going to attack. Okay, he's going to possibly just trade here.
Oh, we got Rite of Oblivion drawn again, which that Propeller Pioneer, I believe, has Fabricate, so...
Yeah.
I already some fodder.
It's a 4 mana. It's basically both modes. Basically, it's a Cloud Guard. The old tech Cloud Guard is just basically both modes of the Propeller Pioneer.
Hmm.
So
How about
so
this? Shadow of the Oath adds gives a fodder for Right of the Billion.
there you go. So the because the Propeller Pioneer, you could either get a 2/1 flying with a token or a 3/2 flyer, but old tech Cloud Guard, you just get both.
Yeah, yeah.
How
The 5 years, 6 years newer though.
how magic has changed. So he's deciding here if he wants to play this Rankles prank that he just drew to like 1 for 1 the Propeller Pioneer. I don't know if that's exactly where you want to be.
Not the best situation, but you know,
Question is, does he
it
want to
might be the play.
discard? No, he's just gonna cat. He's not too proud. He just says, "I'm gonna 1 for 1. I'm gonna 1 for 1 this Propeller Pioneer. I'm annoyed by it."
Worse things have happened. Shadow Prophecy to find a land. He doesn't find one. He could have developed the Soldier Lord Valiant Veteran as if he found a land, basically.
So now we get some interesting play here because he has the Weaponcraft Enthusiast and he has the Deathcat Marionette, which could potentially put something cool in his graveyard to use with back for seconds. So maybe setting up for something cool here.
Nick jealously looking at the weapon. Let's call it
Ooh,
Right of
okay.
Oblivion fodder.
Those. So now he can play back for seconds. He can get the Soul Tender into his hand, and he can get the Necromass, or he can get the Soul Tender directly into play, and get the Necromass into hand.
Okay.
Which is
Meanwhile,
nice.
a 2/2 that draws a card hits the field.
I mean, we got 2/2 that draws a card. We got a 1/1 that draws a card. Nick is he's just playing all the little 2 for 1 creatures. I love this strategy. Like this is just one of my favorite things. You just play all these little value creatures here.
Some value coming. He's got a Dawn Feather Eagle. Also, he found through the Shadow Prophecy, which is a 5 mana 3/3 flyer. I think it buffs the board for a turn, something like
Yeah,
that.
+1/+1 vigilance when it comes in. Yeah, so it looks like he's gonna do what I said. He's gonna get a Soul Tender into play. He's going to get a Necromass into hand, and he's going to be quite happy about it.
Well, Shadow of the Oath is gonna, or Rite of Oblivion. He's got answers. He's got even a glass casket was drawn.
Yeah. Yeah, so he does have answers here, so it looks like we may be in a board stall here. But the flyer could break that here. He has no need to cast a removal at this time. I guess he's gonna go for the Soul Tender. He says, I don't want him to get more value.
Another payoff here. Clarion Cathars.
Is that a soldier?
Not payoff.
Is that a
Enabler,
soldier?
sorry.
Is that a soldier?
The knight looks like a knight. Yeah, he
Okay.
had the same thought. He had the exact same thought.
Fine, okay.
Yeah, advantage bar for Nick. I would say here that Eagle's going to come down and very two mana answer or 5 mana answer to this Necromass.
Yeah, Joaquin drew another nice card here, the Bone Picker, but that might also get a removal spell.
Looking to develop Dawn Feather Eagle and then Rite of Oblivion away the Necromass might be a real nice attack.
Yeah, he could attack with everything. I mean, the Deathcat Marionette can trade with the Cathars, but he'll still get a nice chunk of damage here.
And
Yeah.
there's also the option of getting the thing that could flip into a lifelinker.
So we got a 1/1. We got a Deathcat Marionette almost for sure trading here, and then either take 5 or do some chump blocking.
What's the card in hand?
He has the Bone Picker, 3/2 flyer for 4. It costs 1. It's a Death Touch as well. It costs
Okay,
1 mana if a creature died. But he's just
gonna
gonna have to play
get met
that.
with removal.
But he could see there's a face-up removal as well.
Mm-hmm. The Shadow of the Oath actually adds to the board power.
So it looks like this flyer is just gonna peck away quite literally. Yeah,
Thinking about putting on the thing that could become a lifelinker eventually.
it's
Decides to go
yeah.
on.
Shadow of the Oath is classic 5 mana clunky removal with a upside. So he can chump block here and go to 6 or not and go to 4. All right, so he's drawn a. He has to discover here. He's drawn a the Baloth, the 5 mana 4/5 from DMU, but he needs something to answer the flyer, and that ain't the one. So it looks like we're gonna
No.
get a game 3 here. This, you know, just a couple removals, a flyer, and there's the formula. Nothing fancy, but getting it done.
The Necromasters aren't going to last long against this cheap removal.
So of note, after the first game, I believe Joaquin sided in at least. I think he sided in some reachers, some reach creatures. He did see some flyers, so he brought in, I believe, a snare spinner and possibly the bird admirer. I'm not sure if it was in his starting 60 or not, but they're both in after at least after game 1. He's on
Nick's looking at
full.
sideboard here.
He's on full flyer alert. Which card?
He's just looking at Cosmium Blast at the moment,
Okay.
seeing what to take out. Unruly Mob gets cut.
Yeah, Unruly Mob is, even in a go wide deck, a card I found just didn't really do what you wanted it to do most of the time. Looks like he's bringing in Broken Wings here for even some more flyer hate, and he's actually kind of correctly thinking about siding out the Defenestrate, just really at its absolute worst here.
Yeah.
Pretty much every threat that he saw that was like a serious threat to his life total was a flyer in both of those games. All the rest of the creatures he saw were just small little ground creatures that, you know, not really worth using a removal spell on most of the time.
You don't want to throw out the window.
Nope. Well, there's no window. There's no windows to be thrown at. Everything's outside in the air. You got to grab them and you got to put them down the well. You see, that's what he has to do. He has to break their wings and then throw them down a well, or get one of his spiders to go snatch them.
Caravan was just cut because he saw it was removed for 2 mana with half a card. He just put in. I'm not sure what it was. It was a flyer of some sort. I couldn't tell it.
If you're not ramping or fixing, I don't love Caravan. Like, vehicles have always been sort of a sticky point for me. Like in limited, I think anything higher than Crew 2 is you have to have an exceptional like payoff. Like the card has to be absolutely exceptional, and just for a 5/5, like doesn't cut it for me. But it's Cultivator's Caravan still quite a good card. What's
Nick kept the 2-lander. Vampire Interloper, Banalish, Sleeper are the 2 drops that might come down. It looks like the Vampire is going to hit the stack. We have a Clarion Cathar's, Propeller, Pioneer, Phyrexian Rager. Just drew a Grind to Dust. No 3rd land, though.
Yeah, no. We are also looking at a 2-lander here. He's gonna draw Unburden for the turn to try and find his 3rd land, and there it is. So now most of at least a couple other cards in his hand are unlocked. He has Obelisk Spider and Join the Dead as castables. Also in hand has the Terror Tide, the Writhing Necromass, and the 4/5 Linebreaker Baloth. And here's a Rager. I can't say I'm upset. Well, there's another land, so looks like both of these players are going to be hitting their lands here. At least.
This is not.
Well, here's here's an obstacle for the Vampire.
Funny enough, Grind to Dust kills this Death Toucher, but does it trigger the Spider? Whenever you put on, never mind.
I believe the Obelisk Spider only counts when you're doing that, but Grind is going to be absolutely killer here, because he can grind and then next turn he can dust away the spider.
Yeah, I mean the death cap's gonna die anyway.
So for those who are not familiar with this Amonkhet rare, for 1 and a black you can put a -1 counter on up to 2 creatures, and then for 3 and a white from your graveyard you can exile any number of creatures with -1 counters. So it has dual uses. In one sense, it can just pick off small creatures, but in another sense, it can just kill the best 2 creatures that your opponents have. So super, super strong card. Really, really flexible. So it looks like he's going to try and join the dead here. He could have played his Weaponcraft Enthusiast, but instead he's just going to hold back.
Nick goes for a familiar play of spend 3 mana, hope you get one of your 2 cards as a land so you can do a follow-up. He did that last game and didn't get paid off. This time he can play a Banalish Sleeper or Grind.
Yeah, so another reason for him not playing something was perhaps to play into the Terror Tide in his hand, maybe trade off a couple creatures and then kill the rest of the creatures.
There's a trigger here now, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so he gains a
20 card.
life, opponent loses a life, and there's a -1 counter. It looks like he's
Oh, we
just
know.
gonna grind away these two. But this is gonna set up the Terror Tide nicely because it's gonna wipe off. It's gonna wipe Nick's whole board here next turn.
However, Banalish Sleeper makes both players sack a creature. So dust in the graveyard doesn't do much, does it?
It exiles any number of creatures with -1 counters on them. That's what it
Kill
says.
your own creature.
So pretty nice Terror Tide coming up here. We'll see if Joaquin wants to be greedy and go for. Okay, he is going to play his Writhing Necromancer here and just hope that Nick puts even more things into play.
Oh, Banalish Sleeper's coming down real quick.
Yeah. I mean, he's taking 6 here as a result. Not the end of the world. But now he just gets to kill everything. So he took a little beating, but
Terrorize the Sweeper. I was trying to remember what card that is. That is,
yeah.
yeah, you saw that coming.
Yeah, so, I mean,
Pack one, pick one.
I think if it's me, I think I do it the turn before, just because if my 5/5 gets killed, I'm taking like 7, or there was 6 because he had to sack the 1/1. But it's a pretty scary proposition if your creature gets removed. But he just sort of got the perfect play out here. I mean, he's still at 13, so very healthy, and he just killed an entire board of creatures.
Well, Flyers are coming for the next while. We got a Wisp Weaver Angel. We have a Mesa Cavalier.
Well, we got answers to all of that here. We got to Join the Dead,
Ooh.
we got a Dead Weight, and we got to Hunt the Weak. So.
Oh, that's interesting because that board is obviously super in favor of Nick, and he will be crushed to see the Sweeper come. And so now we got Flyers versus removal and a 4/5. Who has the advantage? I
But
don't
it
know.
looks like this 4/5 is just going to potentially go. And he's drawn another removal here in Bitter Triumph. So
We've already seen very cheap removal for Nick in the deck. He's not
he's
to drive though.
He's just gonna say, "You are weak. I'm hunting you," and he's gonna start clocking him for 5 here. And Nick needs an answer.
He has it in the deck. Although Rite of Oblivion doesn't help too much at this point.
So we got a 5/6 here, which threatens to take over the game. I mean, this is a nice card.
This is a decent percentage of.
Ooh, he's got a Rankle's Prank here. Rankle's Prank might be able to finish this off here.
Oh, let's go!
As early as next turn.
This can't be blocked if I'm not mistaken. Also.
Yeah, you need bigger creatures to block that. It can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less.
Ooh, that turned real, but that was Nick's gonna have nightmares of that Sweeper, I think.
Yeah, that was just about as much value as you can get from it. So it looks like this game is ending next turn with a prank, and Nick's gonna feel like he got pranked with that board wipe. I think just has to be thinking, you got to be kidding me. Though he did see it in the earlier game.
Did he?
I believe he cast it in the first game. No, he had it in his hand. Did it not get cast? Either way, we are ending this game like we did the first game. Yeah.
Rankle's Prank for lethal.
I mean, little does Nick know he has 2 of those, but we see the Rankle's Prank closing out these 2 games for Joaquin. So we'll follow him into round 2, and we'll be back for that match in a little bit.